I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to be here in this beautiful space. Something I give thanks for every day. Be happy to be here with all of you, which is a newfound gratitude. This global community, this family of humans that gets bigger and bigger each day. And you know, what gets bigger is the awareness, right? That we're all connected. That we're all beginning to learn how to show up for oneself, but also for each other, for mankind, that we're showing up. And we're showing up to support each other, to give each other kind of a cosmic gentle pat on the back or cosmic hug. Of course, it's all virtual, but it still counts, right? So yeah, I'm very happy to be with you guys. I missed. Hey, hi, sweetheart. Nice to see you. I'm envisioning your smile right now. I'm envisioning your smile as you walk into this space, right there. Yeah, I'm very happy. I'm very happy to be with you guys. It's such a beautiful thing to hold space. The phrase is meaning more and more to me these days than ever, right? Because the space is there, right? And we just need to, kind of mark a little time, set it up, right? Gather, collect, show up, right? Show up. So take a few moments to allow yourself to really plant, to really be here, to arrive, and, start with your personal space where you're arriving to, if you happen to be sitting in your living room or your office at work or perhaps outside, depending on where you're located. And really let that be the first step or the first stage in your arrival. It's like notice where you are, let yourself plant, and choose a seat that's going to support you today, whether that means a chair or a couch or a lazy boy recliner or a cushion on the floor or a park bench. I think it's important to remind ourselves we have a choice, right? Kind of dissolve what the protocol or the rules might be on you showing up, right? Loosen it a little bit in such a way that you enjoy showing up, right? It's not something that you have to do, but something that you want to do. And then once you've shown up to your space, once you feel like you've arrived, then give yourself some time to arrive into your body, Get a sense of what it feels like. And, sometimes that can be terribly difficult and uncomfortable, right? But you're not alone in that process. And, being human is not always the easiest thing. Being in the physical form is not always the easiest thing, right? We all have conditions or ailments, right, that we have to deal with. The important thing is that we're dealing with them rather than thinking they shouldn't be there in the first place, right? We're all aging, even if we're a newborn, right? So the body is always shifting, right? And are we willing enough to show up for it in such a way that we can grab it and say, okay, this is what it feels like to be human today, right? These are where my aches are. This is where my ease and freedom in my body is today. And that real willingness to embrace it wholly, to really see it, like let yourself be human in this form, right? And remember that this is the form that catches the reality. It's the one having the relationship to your space. It's the one having the relationship to us right now, right? So it's doing some good, right? Even if we can't find it instantaneously, the body's always doing us some good because it's the very thing that puts us in the present moment and in the present time, right? We're on this planet because we have a body, right? So it's, it's kind of cool. So once you've placed yourself in your space, your environment, and then within your body, then place yourself within the community, like, this showing up for us, right? This gathering. Like, this is all we got. This is how we do it now, right? So let it come through the screen that we are all connected, that you're sharing space, right? As we hold space, we share space. Let's tune in. Breathe in. Let's bow in gratitude. Let's never forget gratitude. Take some time each and every day. Find it, locate it. Namaste. Namaste. So what was rolling through my mind as I was moving my body around today, as I was doing my breath work, as I was doing my meditation, as I was doing my chanting today, you know, it's important that we just kind of take time to see, well, what's there today? What's inside? You know, peek in, have a look, see what's there today. Because I assure you, it's not the same every day. You know, the mind might tell you it's the same story every day, but it really is different every day. We're constantly changing and evolving, shifting. So it was kind of rolling me around, and what I was rolling around with today on my map. Kind of like a puppy in some mud. That's what my practice is like. What was rolling through? Get serious, Michelle. What was rolling through me today was time, and, you know, as we approach this, you know, what we call a new year. I mean, aren't we an interesting group, right? Humans are so interesting that, you know, we go by this piece of paper on the wall with a bunch of squares in it called a calendar, right? And then tear off, right? Next month, and then all of a sudden we're at the last month, we're on the last page. And I've always been kind of fascinated and intrigued and taken by this kind of celebration, by this kind of marker point in our existence, that come Friday it will be a new year. And of course now, you know, everyone's like, oh God, I can't wait till 2020 is over, right? The year of hindsight, right, 2020. So as we all, you know, can't wait, as we're looking at our watches to the countdown, right? It's another thing we live by. We live by that circle thing on our wrist, or that circle thing on the wall known as a clock. We live by clocks and calendars pretty much, right? And as we're all kind of counting down, and you think about the ritual of New Year's Eve and those, you know, last 10 seconds, right? It's pretty safe to say that we do live by time. I mean, if you think back to like, not think back, but if you, what's coming up in my mind right now is a film, right? That where someone is like cast away, where they're lost at sea or imprisoned. There's always a scene where they're like scratching out the lines, right? To count the days so they don't lose track of time, right? It's always linear, right? It's a line. They never draw a circle, right? It's a linear. So it's pretty safe to say that we all kind of live by time. And then, of course, if you mingle in, because that's always complicated, being human is very complicated, and then you start to weave in that we're only on this planet for said time. We celebrate birthdays and we watch the marking of time and how the body shifts, how the mind shifts through the course of the years as we're on this plane for only, such a certain amount of time. And at some point, it is inevitable for each and every one of us. At some point, our time's going to be up, right? We only live in this body on this plane for so long. And then it, so-called, expires, right? So there's a lot of our time, the time that we have here is revolved around time itself. We're very occupied, we're very driven by time. And especially in the U.S., it's always, faster, right? How much can we do in set amount of time? And often people will come to me and say, I wish I had more time for my practice. It comes to me all the time. People say it to me. It's like pretty much the number one answer as to the reason why people might not have a consistent practice. Time. Because they're struggling to fit life into their day, and they have to extract something in order to get, the errands in, right? So the big thing that gets extracted is the taking care of oneself, the very thing that can create the healing, right? We don't have time for that, right? Especially now as we are in this full moon, right? Like, we are completely primed for self-care. This is a huge moon. For self-care, self-healing, self-love, as it is in Cancer, right? The nurturer, the mama, right? So as we all might struggle with time, and as we all might have hopes and aspirations and what we would even call, what are those things that you do at New Year's? Resolutions. The resolutions that get set, more than likely one of the hot topics for a lot, especially during such a crazy year, especially during such a year of great crisis in the health in the health house, might be, self-care, self-love, healing, nurturing. Yet somehow we still don't have time for it. And that just makes me sad, right? It makes me sad. Of all the things that need to go out of the schedule, out of the routine, the very thing that we want, the very thing that we need, right? As time is so precious and we are only here for a certain amount of time, why not allow ourselves to enrich our existence by finding the time, taking the time for self-care, for self-love, for self-healing, right? I remember a memory popped into my head. I was doing some guest teaching out on the West Coast in California. And, they just operate on a very different time. If anybody's from the West Coast, please chime in on this, right? They don't pay as much attention to clocks. Maybe we all, it's safe to say we all pay attention to the calendar. But it's pretty safe to say that those in kind of the ocean towns of Los Angeles pay less attention to time. And, I was so fortunate to be gifted this very precious time to work with a bunch of people that were just so wide open. And anyway, I was set to teach a class at a very specific time, and I'm always early. I'm perpetually early. It's just my thing. So I showed up, of course, to the studio early, and the doors are locked, and I'm just sitting there outside alone, kind of wondering when someone was going to show up, constantly looking at my phone to check the time. And then, finally a student arrived, which was probably on time. One student, right, on time. And after a few moments of waiting, now I'm like, okay, something must be wrong. Like, no one is really here to open up this space, and where is everybody? Everyone's late. Something must be wrong. I must have gotten the time wrong. So finally I approach this person, and I say, do you have the time? I see that she has a watch on, and she shows me her watch. And by this time I'm like, and she shows me her watch, and it's just this beautiful white face blankness on her watch. There are no numbers on the watch other than the word now. Right? The time is now. And it was such a big conk on my head, a big conk on my effing hard head, right? My stubborn head. Like, wow, okay, there's a lesson in there, right? And then, of course, as I started to ease up, soften up, let go, surrender to linear time, they started to come. It was just in their custom to be late. They just didn't pay as much attention to the clock as we did in this side of the States, right? It's in their culture. And it gave me a huge lesson of everything in its own time, not my time, not linear time, right? Bigger, grander, more expansive, secular, right? Cosmic time, right? Time that does not involve a clock, right? So if we approach a little bit if we take that into the calendar just a tiny bit, right? As we're all paying attention to time, like once again, we can't wait for the countdown, as if miraculously on midnight, second after midnight, at 2021, like everything's just gonna go away, right? Like we still have to deal with our stuff, right? COVID's still here. We're still in the human body, right? We still have work to do, right? So we shouldn't expect the miracle to be lifted just because the calendar day is changing, but how we change and deal with life in a much more fuller, richer, deeper way, because at some point, our time will be up. We're only here for so long, so why not live it as richly, as wholly, as fully as we collectively possibly can. Let's not wait for the watch or the calendar to tell us when time is up, when time starts or stops. Let's just attempt, right? One of the beautiful things about a practice of yoga, whether it's physical asana work, breath work, meditation work, chanting, etc., is it contributes to our wholeness. That it is a holistic practice that creates a unification of secular-like energy, so that we live in this flesh wholly, rather than linearly, like I'm watching myself just kind of collapse and decrepitly, slip away, waiting for that last breath. No, let's live it richly and fully and wholly, right? Breathe in through the nose. Out through the mouth. Again. So see if you can catch these breaths. Catch the nows of them. Let's stop waiting. Let's live in this now moment. Lightly close the lips. Soften the crease from the under to the upper. Releasing the jaw. And gently shifting the focal point to rest just above the bridge of the nose. Beginning to enter the realm of the third eye. And kaleidoscope of the mind. and seeing big and holy inside oneself, all of one's attributes, all of one's aspects, the wholeness of who we are collectively on this planet as humans. You know, we are bigger than any ailment, anything that plagues the body. Our energy is bigger than that. So we start to see it through the kaleidoscope of the mind as we turn the focus inward. Let's take some humble time to notice that we have breath. Let's not miss that one, right? Let's cultivate a deep appreciation for that breath that brings us into the now, right? The time is now. Let's not live for the calendar. Let's live in the now, wholly, richly, fully, right now. Grab it. And then try to soften so that you're not at odds with, so that you're not in great conflict with, that your body is having a deep relationship to this earth, to this community of humans, to this air, to this sky. Feel the pores in your skin starting to open and allowing your breath to pour out of them. Start to watch your beautiful rhythm, your beautiful rata, the Sanskrit word for rhythm, right? Every time you inhale, allow the breath to touch internally. Every time you exhale, let the breath touch externally. And allow this dance with breath as it touches inside and outside. Pull you, draw you, collect you, bring you into the now. Right, and as we all know, but have a hard time admitting, this is all we have. We don't know when our time is going to be up. Grab it and live in it fully. Without force or rigidity, start to open up the space of the midsection of the body by simply elongating through the spine. Notice as you open the midsection of the body that the breath starts to open. Without any force whatsoever, begin to stretch your breath inside your body, noticing it still has a rhythm. It still comes in, and it still goes out. Reside in and with this rhythm, this life, this breath. Living wholly. And slowly we'll start to enhance this breath, practicing pranayama, the expansion of our breath capacity. I encourage you to go slow, and the easiest way to go slow is to soften some more internally. Empty the breath from the underbelly. And slowly inhale. And gently retain in. And gradually exhale. Gently retain in. Inhale. Retain. Exhale. Retain. Inhale. Retain. Exhale. Retain. Inhale. Retain. Exhale. Retain. Release the lock of your breath. Let it flow, let it go. Feel free to move the body, move the head. Kind of reassimilating yourself physically into this time, into this space. Allowing yourself to firmly and gently be placed in the here, in the now. For a few moments of quiet, we will hold space for each other to live fully here, now. Go to the breath. Slowly folding the hands together at the center of the heart. Using this position for a moment of gratitude. Giving thanks for our precious time together here with this community, this Sangha. And also giving thanks for our precious time on this planet. And let us live richly, wholly, and fully, moment by moment, rather than calendar and clock. And breathe in. Namaste. I'm happy to see all of you in lifetime. I look forward to reading the comments. Please send me a line or two. It's been so nice getting notes and messages and cards, etc. Use this as a way to connect with each other as well. Like it's really very liberating when we can kind of free ourselves of some of our stuff. Like, yes, I have difficulty with time. I pay too much attention to it. That kind of thing. Like once we out that together, it's like, oh yeah, like that humble falling into each other as humans, right? So let this feed serve as that. I know a lot of you do this not in lifetime for the recorded version, and same for you, check in and leave each other messages. Speaking of time, by the way, I never pay attention to the clock, and it always just turns out to be like exactly the same time that these things happen. Like I never set them out to be exactly 25 minutes or 30 minutes, but they always seem to turn out to be that. Like within 2 or 3 minutes, they're like exactly all the same. Anyway, so we are now going to close up this and head over to Zoom for physical asana practice, a Shakti flow. So if you care to join us, that's happening momentarily on Zoom, and my assistant Christina is going to put the number up if you want to join us. Holidays are always pretty special here, and it's nice that we get to share them in a much larger way rather than just filling this beautiful space. We can fill the computer screen, if you will. There's an event, I guess I'll call it, that happens tomorrow. It starts at 4 and it goes to about 8. We'll be doing the physical asana practice, a Shakti flow, and then a yin practice for deep releasing work, and then a satsang where we'll have meditation and chanting and conversation. And the theme for the evening will be noticing how much we have changed thanks to COVID, right? Thanks, yes, I'm going to go ahead and say that. Thanks to COVID, how much we have changed, and allowing that to kind of propel us, give us the incentive and the encouragement to continue the change process into this, what we call a new year. And then New Year's Day, we will have been in this beautiful building for 11 years. 11 years. So I look forward to seeing you then as well for a physical practice. Let's seal it. Let's send it. Right? We've always got it to give, right? And we're always making more. I love y'all. May you be safe. May you be healthy. And may you be happy. May you live with an easy heart. Namaste.